Coming up on Unpacked, the second chapter.
Your episode was an eye-opening for me. I was just about to steal from my employer. When is the community going to stop judging us? Oh, Mama, please pay for my school fees. She was like, no, Lerato, go to Hillbrook. If you want to heal from something, you need to start talking about it. Yes.
Wow.
I'm entering into a place or a movement that understands the importance of Ubuntu, the importance of forgiveness, the importance of giving others second chances.
When Lerato came to our show, her story was honest and intriguing, but got all of you excited and desperate for a part 2. So many burning questions. Guess what? She's here. Take a look.
My first criminal activity, I stole 200,000.
Was there nothing in you that said, don't do this?
Mommy and Daddy made wrong choices in life, and because of those choices, I went out to attend trial court for 5 years. We were sentenced in 2017.
Your kids thought you guys were overseas and you were both in jail.
Crime is not worth it, guys. It's definitely not worth it.
Lerato, welcome back. How have you been? Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been okay, surviving.
You look good. You look really good, and like you are in quite a good space.
Thank you so much. Yeah, man, I'm just grateful for the gift of life, man.
So, I'm just wondering, with the story that you shared, what made you want to come to Unpacked and tell us about this interesting life of yours?
You know, Lebo, they say that if you want to heal from something, you need to start talking about it. So for me, it was part of my healing process, and I needed to come and be honest with the people and ask for forgiveness to those that I've offended, and mostly forgive myself as well. Ask for forgiveness from my kids. And yeah, it was part of a rehabilitation journey in order for me to move on. Yes.
When you say, part of your healing, what do you believe you needed to heal from?
Look, I've done wrong. I've offended, and I've impacted a lot of people with my criminal activities. I've impacted people directly and indirectly. So that is some of the healing that I needed to take upon myself and say, you know what, in order for me to move on, I need to start healing and also raise awareness about crime and the impact of crime.
When you look back to our time together, which was about 2 years ago, to where we are now, what would you say you feel differently about from that recording?
Okay, I feel a bit, there's a weight that's been off my shoulder from the time we spoken until now. I'm now able to go to the community and educate the communities about the impacts of crime. I've also raised awareness about white-collar crime to say that as much as we think that it's a petty crime, it's actually not a petty crime because we're affecting a lot of people in the process, directly and indirectly. So from the time we spoke until now, I've grown into becoming a crime prevention activist, simply because I'm raising awareness because I want a peaceful community.
And I'm so happy that you've taken on that journey, because there aren't many people who may have been caught for what you did and understood there's an impact, because you might just think, how such a big company, how they're going to even notice that money, plus these big companies have insurance. Nobody really got hurt.
And the truth of the matter is, Lebo, we are affecting a lot of people directly and indirectly. For instance, the company that I work for, they had to retrench people because they suffered financial losses. So the person one of the people that they retrenched, one was a breadwinner. So meaning that person cannot provide for their families because of my wrongdoings. We are affecting my kids emotionally. the society, taxpayers, I'm sitting there inside correctional centers being fed off from the taxpayers' money. So it's a whole lot of people that we are affecting, economy as well. There's a whole list. So people do not get that even one white collar crime is a crime.
So what was the feedback you got, after the episode went out on television, then online? How was the reception to your story?
You know what? Obviously, there were people that were judgmental. Some were saying, she didn't change, she's lying. But you know what? As long as I know that my conscience is clear and I'm stepping into a new journey, leaving the past behind, and I'm doing things differently now. And well, there were those that received me very well, those that came through and reached out to say, whenever you want to talk, Lerato, please reach out. And there were those that said to me, Lerato, your episode, I was just about to steal from my employer, but your episode was an eye-opening for me.
Wow. So, yeah. Wow. I mean, that really speaks to the impact of the show. And I think sometimes we don't realize what people are going through because one of the things that really stood out for me in our interview is just how honest you were, not just about what you did, but about your intentions, that it was more greed than like, oh, I needed to feed my children.
Yes, definitely. And I need to give credit to you guys. Yes, you guys do make a huge impact because from your episode alone, that's when people started following me, wanting to see what is it that am I doing at the moment. So yes, thank you so much for the platform.
I mean, of all of our episodes, your episode, I would say, had pretty much the most demand in terms of we still have more questions. So many things are unanswered. Please, we need a part 2. And I'm so glad we're able to finally, sit and have that conversation, because much as the second chapter is to catch up with where are you now, there are also so many unanswered questions from right at the beginning. So I think I want to start there to just kind of take it back to parts of your story we didn't get into the details of. I want to talk about your prison experience. We know Sun City is such a notorious prison, and we know you spent a couple of years there. What, like, from the day you go in, and maybe even tell us the part from court to now going in chains, like, what is happening in your mind? What's happening in your body? Are you understanding the reality of the situation while all of that is happening?
Remember when I went to court on that day, I still had hope that I'm going back home. I'm not going inside prison.
And was it hope or denial?
It was denial, and obviously I was hoping magic would happen, And when when the sentencing was read, I remember when the magistrate said to me, I'm sentencing to 12 years imprisonment with a 4-year suspended sentence. I swear I did not hear the 4-year suspended part, because literally my mind froze. Like literally I started counting in my head, 12 years. Now my kids, because I didn't know that you serve half in, half out, I'm counting that when I come back, my kids will be this old. I'm going to miss so much. 12 years, the whole 12 years of my kids' life, it was hectic. And when we went inside the van, as they were transporting us to the correctional center, I remember there was another lady in there crying. I could not even cry with her, because I'm thinking, no ways, this is not real. My incarceration became real the minute I walked inside the gates. I remember that's when I started crying. When the police at the receptionist started writing there, 12 years, 8 years, you are here to serve 8 years inside my prison card. And I'm like, no, Mama, I'm sentenced 12 years. And then she made me read the court remarks and said to me, no, it's actually 12 years with a 4-year suspended sentence. So you are meant to serve 8 years. And then I started counting in my head, okay, my kids will be this old when I come back. And you have to undress level, they have to search you, strip search you. Like, I felt like this is, if this is what I'm gonna be going through for the entire sentence, I definitely don't want to be here.
Yep.
And my first night, there are bullies inside prison, there are bullies. And I remember in the morning, I was bullied to go clean the shower. And I was like, no ways, I'm still newly sentenced. I can't be cleaning the showers and all that. They were like, no, it's a core that you must do. You have to do it, Lerato.
This is the other prisoners saying that you need to clean the showers.
Yes, other prisoners. And obviously, when you are inside, remember, you go in with your own clothes and they have to provide uniform. So what happened was the facility, the center did not have uniform. But when I got inside the center, inside the cell, prisoners have uniform that they want to sell to me. And you can see the bed sheet. It's got correctional services logo, but they want to sell it to me. I'm like, guys, I'm not arrested with money. They're like, yeah, but your family is gonna come and visit, request money from them when they visit for you to pay these things. So they were like selling departments, clothes, and the sheets and the pillowcases. It was
Things
terrible,
that are supposed to be given to you for free, they were selling them to you.
You know what? You'll have inmates working in an office whereby they're distributing uniform. Those inmates will be stealing these materials. Come inside the cell, they sell them to you. Obviously, inside the correctional center, we're not allowed to have designer clothes. So when they come and do strip search, they take they confiscate the designer clothes. The same inmates that are working in those offices will go steal them and come to you and resell your clothing to you. So everybody's all about making their money, for hustling to make their way. Yeah.
So at this time, I can't recall, what you had said about, because your husband and you got the same sentence, right?
No.
When last did you see each other up until that court? You didn't get the same sentence of 12 years.
Yes, but we were sentenced on the same day.
Okay, so sentenced on the same day, given the same duration. Was his also 4 years suspended?
No, he got 8 years with a 2-year suspended sentence. So meaning he was meant to serve. Yes.
So when last did you guys see each other up until that court date?
When we went to court, obviously I was still staying with him. And then on the sentencing date, that was the last time I saw him, when he was sent to his center and I was sent to my center.
So after the sentencing, did you know what his sentencing was, or did you only find out later? It's not like you guys could talk to each other and then go your separate ways.
No, I was in the same courtroom with him. I was accused number 1, he was accused number 2. So after my sentence was read out, the magistrate went on to read his sentence. So I overheard his sentence during the court proceedings. And shame, he was in tears after the sentencing. And yeah, maybe that's why I was holding my tears back, because I felt, you know what, he's already crying. We're not going to do justice to each other if the both of us start crying together.
So when now the prison sentence began and you were in prison and you were being initiated by the other prisoners, at what point did your children get to see you for the first time in prison?
They came to visit when I was about a year or 8 months to a year. Because remember the first, when I went inside, I'd said to them, when I went to court rather, I'd said to them that I'm going to come back and fetch you from the school, after school. So unfortunately, it didn't happen like that. And immediately after our sentence, we phoned our parents to come and get the kids. So my mom drove all the way from Free State. My in-laws came from Limpopo. And my kids, I think the social worker met them 6 months into my incarceration just to prepare them to say, you know what, your mother and your father have done mistakes and they are sent into detention, a place whereby they're going to correct their mistakes. Because all along, my kids thought we are in overseas most. So 8 months into my sentence, close to a year, that's when they brought the kids inside the correctional center to come and see me.
And prior to then, did you speak to them on the phone?
You know, when we are inside, we are not allowed to have cell phones. But because prison is prison, first night, I managed to phone my parents. Somebody borrowed me their phone, and 2 months later, I had my own phone. So yes, I've been keeping in contact with them every single day because that device was the only access to have, to me to speak with my kids.
What were some of the hardest moments, in talking to your kids, but not being able to see them while also them not knowing the whole truth? What were some of the most difficult moments?
Relebogile, my daughter did not receive the news very well. She was 7 at that time. My youngest was 3. It was still not very clear to him what's going on. But my oldest, my daughter, which is the middle one, was 7. She did not receive the news very well, and she started becoming extremely sick. She lost a whole lot of weight. So when I video call her at times, I could see the pain in her eyes. I could see even the other kids, but I think she was the one that reacted strongly than the others. So I could see that pain in them, and it was very, very hard for me to take it in. And but after they came inside the correctional center, I started feeling better because that's when I started thinking that if I take on the rehabilitation journey seriously, I'd most probably go home before my term ends. And these kids, me, and I need to go see them. So, yes.
If you look back then at the first time they saw you in prison, what were the difficult questions they asked you that day?
Even now, one question when they see me, my story, the one question that they ask is, Mama, what did you steal? Why did you do it? And I don't even know how to answer it because they're not going to understand. Because I tried saying, no, I needed to sustain my life and help you, so that we can live a comfortable life. They're like, but Mama, did you not think that you were going to go to prison and leave us? Sure. So, yeah, that's one question that even now they still ask me, why did you do it? They still cannot find a reason. Despite of the answers that I gave them, it's not a reason enough to them why I stole.
And I'm sure as they get older, maybe how you answer will be different.
Yes, I most probably yes, but I try to be honest, as honest as I can with them, so that they understand also with my activism as well that, what, crime is totally wrong. Whether you're stealing a cool drink. Funny enough, when I do go to schools a lot because I believe that if I had the same advices, I most probably would not have resulted into doing crime. So when I go to school, I tell the kids that it starts small. You steal a pen from your friend, or you'll go through your teacher's handbag. That's how it starts. And then this thing grows in you. Eventually, when you are into it, you start stealing big. You start stealing from your neighbors or from your relatives, But this thing, I'm making them aware that from a young age, they need to start making the right decisions.
And I'm glad you're mentioning that it starts small because it looks harmless. I feel even with lying, a little white lies, like it's harmless to lie about something small, but it becomes much easier than to start lying about even bigger things, and you sort of get caught in your own trap of having to keep up the lie, which is, as the space that you were in, you now have to try and remember, Ghana, which account did I move the money to? What was the date, to try and keep covering your tracks? So I'm going to ask you a tricky question, but do you think there was a way you could have kept doing what you're doing without getting caught?
Look, when I Relebogile, there were things that I've done that I was not called for. So I think this one was like, it was a kind of like a sign that this is it, Lerato. You've done so many wrong in your life. You
Mm.
need to go into a center and change your life. So to me, it was like another opportunity, second chance, kind of a thing. Yeah, second chance. Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you never got caught for?
Like for instance, even with the same employer, there were some transactions where during the court proceedings that were never part of the court, but I knew deep down that I'm guilty of such and such and such. And small things like I'm saying to you, stealing from a cool drink from there and there, stealing, and you know what, Lebo, I grew up being a bully. I grew up finding my way, always maneuvering myself out of a situation. My friends used to say to me, Lerato, you start a lie. People lie to get themselves out of a situation, but with you, you lie to get yourself into a situation and you end up not knowing how to get out. So, yeah, when I look at my life, the past 40 years of my life, I definitely needed to change.
Do you think maybe you struggled with any kind of mental health issues that you felt the need to live the kind of life that you were living?
Yes, when I reflect back, I can pick up that I ended up being the person I am because of my childhood trauma. Without trying to blame anything, but I think when parents are raising us up, they don't realize that the trauma that they are instilling in us. Like for instance, I lost my dad when I was 21. And okay, before then, I come from a background whereby my parents were very strict. I was not allowed to have friends outside school, even outside church. And my family had influence over my life, such as choosing religion for me, choosing friends, education, such things, They also had bad influences like alcoholism and not taking care of your health, smoking, such things. But we tend to turn a blind eye when it comes to that. You don't realize that the child is growing with that, and when they enter into adulthood with those things that are not unsolved, it becomes a problem later on. I lost my father when I was 21. My mom introduced me to my stepdad 6 months later after the passing of my dad.
Wow.
So, and I remember when I was 21 years, yes. After completing my varsity education, I asked my mom if she could pay for my fees because now I need to go graduate. She's like, no, I'm still waiting for your dad's money to be paid out. My dad was late already. And I'm like, no, how come they taking this long? I phoned Treasury, only turned out that no, Treasury paid. It was January 2005 when I phoned, only to find out Treasury paid the previous year in October. The money is into her account, and she kept quiet. So when I phoned back to say, oh, Mama, but you said you have money, they saying they paid you, just please pay for my school fees. She was like, no, Lerato, go to Hillbrook. Banyana baya Hillbrook. Such things, you don't even know how the child is going to react when you start, as a parent, when you start quoting such things. Later on, I'm working now. She's got financial problems. I'm one person, I never hold grudges, so I always go back to her to try and fix things. She's got financial problems. She's asking me for money. And when I said I didn't have, I remember her quoting a scripture to me saying, Isaiah 1, verse 2. When I read it, it's like, I raised you up, I fed you, and now you are rebellious towards me. I'm like, was I supposed to pay her back? So all of that, they created trauma that I grew up with, and I entered into adulthood with it. So.
It's a lot, and I think it helps that you're creating the picture for us, because obviously when we have these types of conversations, we're really just focusing on one particular part of the story. now with a much bigger picture, you start to understand why sometimes people do the things that they do, why they make the choices that they make. But I'm wondering, when now the sentence was over, who came out of prison first between you and your husband, and what happened?
Okay, he was released 6 months before me. And then upon his release, he went to his parents' house in Limpopo. I was released 6 months later during the COVID time. And obviously, I can't go after indoor. My kids are with my parents. So I decided to go home where my kids were. And it was lockdown and all that. And after lockdown, I just saw ourselves all alone. Because after that, my mom kicked us out, mostly with my kids. So I had to come to Sasolburg. Yeah.
Can I ask why?
Oh, well, like I'm saying, when I Relebogile, our parents, they suffer and they're not aware that they're suffering from things from the past as well. I had to understand that even with her kicking me out, it was never about me. It's something I was part of the experience. She needs to learn a lesson. So I was used as an experience. Her reason for kicking us out was like, I can't live with another woman here. You must go out. And I remember sitting her with my stepfather down, saying to them, I'm 3 months out of prison. You are kicking me with my kids out. My kids do not do anything, but we find their clothes on the floor, there by the mat. So what are you saying to me? I'm a firstborn, I'm a girl. What are you saying? Are you saying that I must go date Nigerians? Or are you saying I must go back and do crime? What are you saying? But I said to her, I remember saying to her, you know what? I'm glad that I understand that this is not about me. It's about you. You have to learn a lesson from your character. It's unfortunate I'm used as an experience, but it's okay. I understood. And I told my kids that, you know what? When God closes one door, another one opens. If I'd continued to have stayed at home, I was not going to have the opportunities that I received after moving out. I remember a social worker once said to me, quoting the Bible, saying, after I told her that my mom is kicking me out, she said to me, you know what, Lerato, there's David in the Bible, where God said, if you move out of this place, I will bless you. Leave your family, leave everything behind, and then I will start blessing you. And that's exactly what happened to me.
So you and your kids moved and started a new life together. Where was dad and husband,
Still at home. Dad is still at home with his parents. And to me, it was a matter of understanding that, you know what, my mom and my stepdad are kicking me out. Dad is at home with parents. It means I'm all alone. I need to stop feeling sorry for myself, and I need to sustain my life for the sake of my kids. He's been at his home ever since he was released. Not once did he come and move in, because I even asked him, you know what? I'm not staying at home. I'm staying at my place. So why don't you leave your parents' house and come and hustle with me? It's like, no, things are easy in Limpopo. To me, it was just excuses when I Relebogile, until one day I woke up and I realized, no, there is no such thing, because he finished his parole in 2021. I finished my parole only this year. So meaning there was nothing holding him back to come and start a life with me. Then deep down, I had to either make sense out of this whole thing. Most probably he's blaming me, or his friends and family are blaming me for sending him to prison. But look, we did the crime together. It will be unfair for anybody to blame me for the criminal activities that took place amongst the two of us.
So the marriage is over. Is it officially over, or you are technically still married?
Technically, we're still married, but we are separated.
Are you going to initiate divorce proceedings?
I have started the proceedings. I'm just waiting for court date to finalize the proceedings, but I have started the proceedings already, and he was served with the summons.
And what was his response, or you haven't heard from him?
No, he phoned to say that the sheriff arrived and delivered the summons, and he didn't respond to the summons, and I take it that he's not opposing. So we have not really spoken about it, except when we speak about the kids.
What is his relationship with your children at the moment?
Shame. He's a darling. He's still there for them, even though he has challenges here and there, financial challenges. But whenever they reach out to him, he still is able to assist them. So he phones about once a week just to check up on them and stuff. And yeah, they still have the best relationship as far as I'm concerned.
Lerato, some might think that once a week as a parent that was living with a child is very little to be, keeping in touch with his children, especially if they don't live together.
I know, Lebo. That's why I find myself to be coming up with excuses on behalf of him. I don't know why I keep on doing that, but yeah, that's the unfortunate situation I'm in.
I hear you. All right. As you know, people comment in the comment section. So we have a question from one of our viewers who's at Zamon2675 on YouTube, who says, "This is such an interesting story. I have so many questions. What happened to her husband? What happened to their marriage? Life after prison? Please tell us more." Now, you've answered most of those questions, but maybe we can jump on the question, what has life been like after prison?
When upon release, you'll find that when you come back to the community, especially when they know where you've been, they still stigmatize you, not acknowledging the fact that you went to a correctional center, not prison, correctional center, to go correct your mistake. And they still stigmatizing you, such things. So it was very, very hard for me to be accepted by the community. Hence, I resulted in, I'm going to go and do an outreach to the community and ask for forgiveness and ask for second chances. Also, the criminal record issue. I've got a criminal record that's hanging on me. Okay, even though I'm done with my sentence, I must still wait for 10 years for the criminal record to be officially removed in my name. So until then, it will still be a battle, a barrier, something that's blocking me to find employment and all that. At least I've got the brains, so I'm able to still sustain myself and my kids' life. They are able to go to bed on a full stomach each and every day.
What I found very interesting is you're now involved in politics with the Patriotic Alliance. Interestingly, the political party with Gayton McKenzie and Kenny Kunene. Tell us how that happened. And is it a coincidence that, it is people that have been in prison before?
Okay, before that, I had entered a pageant. And unfortunately, yes.
What pageant? Is there a Miss South Africa Correctional Services I need to know about?
It was Mrs. Universe South Africa. And what happened? Yes, I was one of the semi-finalists. And there was my story played on the on DSTV. I forgot the channel's name, but it's mainly for Afrikaans speaking. So that's when the founders saw my story. And they were like, huh? Criminal record? No. And then I was asked to leave the pageant. But I really understand where it was coming from, because they're saying that, it's the administration, when you win, you have to represent South Africa abroad. So the administration of getting somebody that's got a criminal record to travel that far, it's going to be hectic, and they don't want me to put all efforts and energy, and yet I'm not gonna be able to go represent South Africa. So it was a very valid reason. But because of my frustrations and anger, I took it to social media to say, when is the community going to stop judging us? Why don't you guys give us second chances, Because I believe I was representing all the other women that are coming after me that are from prison to say, if Lerato can do this, we can also try and attempt so that our life can continue. So, and then I reached out to Kenny Kunen and said to him, how long did it take you for you to brush off the stigma?
Yeah.
Because Kenny's my hometown. So he was like, no, let's phone each other later on. And then when we phoned each other later on, that's when he said to me, you know what, come join our political party. And it made sense to me because they understand the language. They understand the frustration that I'm in. They understand that people are not willing to give us second chances. So it made sense that I'm entering into a place or a movement that understands the importance of Ubuntu, the importance of forgiveness, the importance of giving others second chances. And yay, I'm a Fezile Dabi regional chairperson for the Patriotic Alliance.
Listen, your story is extremely inspiring. And when I say you look good, I think you are radiating the growth that you have done, the healing that you have done. I wish you and your children and your family all of the best. Just as your journey continues, thank you for continuing to speak out so that people do understand, the kind of life one can lead if they make certain choices, especially criminal choices. You are very, very inspiring. Other than your story being interesting, just you as a person, the things that you've had to overcome, even you sharing, the challenges that you've had with your mother. And I know you and I could sit and continue to talk for hours with the millions of questions we all have. But for now, I want to leave it there and say thank you so much, Lerato. We're going to continue watching you, seeing the things that you do. And I know people are going to be DMing you probably even more questions. And who knows, maybe next we'll be seeing you in Parliament.
Who knows, eh? Thank you so much, Lebile, for having me. I really appreciate the platform that you guys are giving me.
There you have it. I brought Lerato back and she had her story to share. And I think it was a lot more than we all bargained for, but that's what the second chapter is all about. If you have more questions, comment down below. Lerato will respond to your DMs, I'm sure, when she gets a gap in between her career in politics. And maybe you feel like, yo, Relebogile, I'm so inspired. I also want my second chance. Comment down below, share your story with us. That's what this platform is all about. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Unpacked, the second chapter. Until next time. Next time on Unpacked, the second chapter.
Dating in South Africa only takes 2 weeks. When it passes, I got support not only in South Africa, but everywhere around Africa. People called in just to check up on me. A lot of queer migrants are going through that on a daily basis. So many queer people that were killed because of who they are. Where will I sleep next? Where will I get food next? It's on a different level.
Is there anybody that you would love to see on the second chapter? Maybe there's a question that you think I should have asked, or something that was burning after you watched and you wished you could have the guest back. Maybe you were confused, or maybe you felt like, there's definitely more to the story. Comment down below and let us know who you'd like to see, which story you'd like to revisit, which guest you'd like us to invite back for Unpacked, the second chapter.